Hi, for those who haven't seen my previous video, I showed the way that I load the bow for using the Mediterranean draw, as opposed to this and this. Because I don't want to scratch up the bow any further by jabbing it, and I especially don't want to do the same thing with my arm. And I mean, yes, I do have a guard on, but still. I've always hated having to do this before. It takes so much longer, and but what I recently learned from one archery tutorial is just holding the nock of the arrow between the thumb and one of your fingers, and then just sliding it over the string. The thumb and the nock go over top while your fingers go underneath. You still keep that pinch, and then you can slide it right back into place. Draw and shoot. Easy. So I'm going to be doing a few quick shots using this method to see how fast I can go and still be aiming. And I mean, you can do this with your forefinger too, or and then make a quick switch to your middle finger. It doesn't really matter. Whichever one of these two that you have the most control over, you should use for this pinch here. So that way you can slide it over the string and knock it right away and be ready to shoot as soon as it's in place. So when I look back at the Ranger's Apprentice books and think about how it doesn't go into detail about how they're able to shoot so fast and everything, I like to imagine that they're using something like this. I don't know if it's historical or not. I've seen other archers / historians like Mike Rhodes, Kevin Hicks, and using this. I learned this from a tutorial by this one guy, Armin Hermer, and when I first tried it, I thought, oh man, this is so easy. I can't believe I didn't think of this years ago. But, yeah. And yes, these are my last two green arrows. You can see they've got quite a bit of wear and tear. So I'm making the most out of these two. And the wind is really picking up, so that may interfere with my accuracy. So don't expect bullseyes right away. But I can tell you where they landed because I can see the target. So maybe 10 yards away. Even though it looks further away in the camera, doesn't it? That's the only thing that annoys me when I do these practice videos, is that it makes the target look further away than it actually is. But, okay. So, I'll just do a few quick shots here, see how it turns out. And the reason that I use the middle finger as my anchor point instead of the index is because the index raises my aiming too high. Aha! See, that one landed right, it's not a dead center shot, but it's in the circle. And that one landed in the ring above it. So yeah, when I've used the index finger as an anchor point, it raises it too much, for me at least, as far as my aiming capabilities go. Even though I've used it quite a lot over the years and had some pretty scattered groupings using that. The last time I used the index finger as my anchor point, the arrow soared over the target and into that big bush. And also, the way that you draw, if you're using the middle instead, at least the string isn't so close to my nose where if the string breaks, then it won't hit me in the eye or something. Because see, this is a replacement string. The last bowstring that I used on this one broke. As soon as I let go of it, the top half just went flying. The limbs sprung back, and the lower half, just below the knocking point, was laying in the grass right at my feet, and the knocking point and from here just went flying into the air. And so I want to make sure that I pull it in such a way and have it tilted like this, because this way, and I mean, I keep it waxed. I have a little bar of beeswax. I highly recommend getting one of those for any bowstring. In fact, I'll probably wax mine later. There's some fibers that you can see. But yeah, see, that's another piece of advice that I got from a friend of mine, is to keep the bowstring waxed. So just like with aiming and shooting itself, practice makes perfect when it comes to the speed of it all. I love it when it makes that sound, because that means that I pulled it to full draw and that it really delivered the impact that I wanted. If you're wondering why I'm doing this video with just 2 arrows, it's because when I'm target shooting, I don't want to use more than 3 or 4 at a time. Like I said, these are my last 2 green ones, and all of my other ones I had to refletch because of the wear and tear. So I'll probably end up doing the same thing with these. What happens is when I go out with too many arrows and shoot at the target, I end up breaking them by accident. And that's when I'm not using that sharp shooting type of attitude where I shoot one arrow and then on the next arrow I aim for that one. It's extremely ironic that I haven't broken any arrows in all this time that I've spent trying to land an arrow an inch or less away from the other one. I don't know how that's possible, but I can laugh now, yeah. Especially in hindsight. It's funny in hindsight, but at the time it was very frustrating, especially when you're using carbon arrows. I would probably get aluminum ones then, but the problem is I can never get aluminum arrows back into shape once they get bent out of shape. It just makes it worse. And also because rubber vanes, they just rip right off. I was gonna switch to aluminum, so I bought one just to test it out. And guess what happened? The vanes just ripped right off. One practice session. And that was it. Okay, the first one, it just landed right in the bullseye, so I'm gonna aim for that arrow with this one. Ha! Look at that. Aim small, miss small. You aim for the bullseye or the arrow poking out of it, you might miss by a couple inches. Aim for the target or the whole ring itself, you might miss by a whole foot. Okay, my camera battery's really low, so I should probably wrap up this video and just keep up my target practice while it's still nice out. So, I hope this has been helpful and informative, and, you know, if any of you want to try this method, see if you can pick up speed and also accuracy, give it a go. I highly encourage it, using either the left or right side, the Slavic or the Mediterranean, whichever. So yeah, hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.